Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Night Fiction Club, the special Father's Day edition. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm at the beach. Couldn't be
Oh, that's
better.
awesome. Awesome. For those who have tuned in live, sorry we're a few minutes late. We had a couple little technical issues, but that's all solved now. So thank you for joining us. And
Yay.
what beach are you at? I'm jealous.
I'm at Folly Beach in South Carolina.
Oh, nice, nice. So you've mentioned that, didn't you? I think you did. You were there for another one of our shows, maybe.
Yeah, I was here in March for a writer's retreat with a couple of my writer buds, and then we went
Oh,
from there
right.
to a new um, event called the Novel Experience, and that was in Atlanta. So we went from here to there, and I'm back, this time with
Oh,
the family for relaxation.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And happy Father's Day to your wonderful husband, Wade. He's a lucky guy. Got a couple nice kids,
Yes, he does.
a nice wife. Yeah.
Yes, and it's Wayne.
Oh, it's Wayne. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking I said Wade because I have Wade Finnegan in my
What about
notes right here.
Wayne? He's right there. Wade Finnegan. He made a comment. Patrick Stemp, are you a father? He asked.
So, we always start out with what we're reading. Been reading anything?
Um, I have been. I'm actually just started a new book that released today called Just Desserts, by Todra Candle.
Oh, I
It's
saw her
the
post about that.
Yeah, it's the second book in a duet series. There's two in the book, and the first one was Best Served Cold.
Right, right. And a few months back, Tawdra was on Buddy's writing show where you co-hosted the show with me and we interviewed her. So if anyone wants to check her out, look for that show and then check out her books. She's a very
Yep,
talented writer.
she is. She's awesome.
Yeah. And I finished, I mentioned last week that I was rereading A Walk Among the Tombstones by Lawrence Block. I
Hmm.
finished that, and I'm still working on Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I just haven't, sometimes you just get busy. You don't have a lot of time to read,
Yep.
and I'll get into bed, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to read for a half hour before I go to sleep, and then the day hits you, and you're
Yes.
gone. A
Yep.
couple pages, and then I end up rereading the same 3 pages the next night, and so on.
Yep.
So.
I also started Good Omens. I got the first chapter down, but then Todger's book came out, and I had to read that.
Oh, I understand. I understand.
Went to the top of the list.
And we're going to do Good Omens on an upcoming show. We're going to talk
Yes,
about
we are.
that and maybe talk about some other things Neil Gaiman related because he's a cool
Cool.
guy.
Awesome.
And tonight we're talking because it's Father's Day. We're going to be covering dads in fiction.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So do you want to start things out for us?
I'll start out with a couple of books. I think the this one's going to sound a little strange, but it definitely pops out in my mind, and that is A Christmas Carol by
Oh,
Charles Dickens, and we're talking about Bob
Cratchit.
Cratchit. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had a little brain fart.
That
But,
happens.
that jumps out in my mind. I mean, the father trying to take care of his son, and you can, because of his attitude towards Mr. Scrooge, you might think of him as kind of a soft man, but I think really what he is a gentle man. And I think for a father, they tend to be the gruff ones, the ones who roll on the floor with the kids and wrestle. But I think it's important that a father's gentle side be celebrated because that's just
Yes.
as important.
I agree. I agree. I did think it was a little shame, though, like how his family they were kind of messing with his good job with Mr. Scrooge. Maybe he should have focused a little bit more on his job. No,
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He really, really good father. That's a great example. I would not have thought of that. I've never read Dickens. I've got to try to read
no,
Dickens sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I've seen, like anybody, I've seen movie versions of A Christmas Carol and other things, that were inspired by Dickens' work. But, I understand he was a really good writer. So,
hmm
got to check him out. Got to check him out. You know who's a good father in modern day fiction? I've only read a couple of the books, but it's a long, ongoing series by James Patterson, and that's Alex Cross. He's very much a good family man.
Okay. I don't know the books that he's in. What is the series?
It's Alex Cross is the main character in this series. There was a couple of movies based on this character. The first couple starred Morgan Freeman. Um, was it Kiss the Girls, I think was one of them.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and then there was a newer movie where Tyler Perry played Alex Cross. And it wasn't a typical like Tyler Perry comedy thing. I didn't see that, but the ones with Morgan Freeman. Well, you can't go wrong with Morgan Freeman. Morgan
No,
Freeman's awesome.
he's
And
awesome.
I got a lot of tea bags going on here. I just made this tea, and it's a big cup, and this looks ridiculous. I got to take these out of here. I think it's steeped well enough. Yeah. So bear with me as I throw my tea
You
bags
can
away.
save those and put them over your eyes later when you lay down.
What does that do?
I think it helps with the dark circles under your eyes.
Oh, I don't get those.
Oh, you're a lucky man.
I got dark circles everywhere. That's not true.
I'm not even going to go there.
No,
I wanna know what your
I
dark
have just
circles
light
are,
and happy
buddy.
circles. What?
I want to know where your dark circles are.
I don't have any dark circles. Anyway, onward. We shall go onward to a land with no circles of any
Dark
color.
or light.
Yes. Hey, we did have a couple of comments I had asked on Facebook and Google Plus, and I mentioned Wade earlier, Wade Finnegan, and he said he's a child of the '80s, so some of his favorite fictional dads come from '80s TV shows, and one would be Stephen Keaton from Family Ties.
Oh my God, Family Ties. It's been so long
Family.
since I even thought of that show. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great, great show. Good family show. You know, it started out with like it was supposed to be like the parents were really the stars of the show, where they were like the hippie types, and they had like the modern day like conservative kids. But we all know Michael J. Fox just like stole that show. But
Yep, Alex Keaton.
yeah, but the dad on there was great. He was laid back. He worked for a PBS station. I think he was like ran a PBS station, and he was played by Michael Gross, who is a really good actor and very good character. And another one that Wade mentioned that also Lisa Stull, my girlfriend, mentioned is Cliff Huxtable
Oh yeah.
from The Cosby Show.
Oh yeah. That is a big, big dad TV show. That was totally about, how does dad run the household? Does he run the household, or does he just think he runs the household?
And you got to give him props. That man wore the coolest sweaters in the
Oh my
history of
God.
television.
That is like infamous? Is all the different sweaters he wore on that show? It's like, who picked those out? There's got to be a name out there somewhere. Who was his wardrobe
I
person?
don't know. I wore like a sweater with multicolors to work one day last year. They're like, "Man, you're sporting your Cliff Huxtable, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
I think
And
what I love most about that particular father portrayal is the humor, of course.
oh yeah, yeah,
Being able, whatever situation, no matter what, Cliff Dad was dealing with, it was putting the humor into it.
yeah,
I remember particularly an episode where how they would do some of the songs and they'd sing together as a family.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, I can remember a few of those. One where his wife comes out and lip syncs Candy. You remember
I
that
don't
one?
remember that.
Oh my God.
She
Or
was
was
great.
it him
Felicia
lip
Rashad
sync?
was great.
Mm. It was an awesome. Just the whole dynamic of it, I absolutely loved.
Yeah, and what was great is that I watched a lot of Bill Cosby stand up back then too. I'm sure you did too.
Oh, absolutely.
There was a concert movie of his that always showed on cable, and it seemed like a lot of the stuff that was on the show was kind of drawn from like the relationship Bill Cosby actually had with his real life kids too.
Hmm.
And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, he's got a PhD in child psychology, and even before the Cosby Show, he was a great father figure. I think for a lot of people, he's made up the Fat Albert Show, and he would
Yes.
do like little hosting things where he's always been like this surrogate father for America. I think he's just a good guy.
Well, and I like the way he talks about his relationship with his father, whether he dealt with it in the TV show,
Hmm.
with his parents in the TV, Cliff Huxtable's parents, but also his relationship with his real father, like he was talking about when his daughter was born, his first child, and his daughter comes in and goes, looks like the stem fell off the apple because he didn't have a son. And just the whole routine he does about that, and he's like, well, you still got a chance. He's like, oh, we're young, me and my wife, I think his wife's name's Camille.
Yeah, I think so.
We have a lot of opportunities. We're young. We still have. He goes, oh no, you still have a chance with this child here. What are you talking about? And he's like, well, if you hold their nose and blow in their mouth, there's still a chance that stem might pop. I'll never forget that. I can't tell it.
I love that. I
Um,
love that. I remember too. I guess it was one of the earlier seasons of the show, but it was a Thanksgiving related episode, and Cliff Huxtable, it was always his big thing to carve the turkey. He was that was his thing,
Yes.
and then he taught Theo how to do it, and he was so nervous
Hmm.
about having his son Theo do it, and it was some great comic gold there. So do you want to pull something out there before I get to any other comments we have here?
Um, let's see. Hold on. I got some comments here. Wade Finnegan says, "Hooking up with Melissa, yeah. Laugh out loud. You can call me Wayne. You can call me." Oh, too much. Is Melissa in a garage? No, I am not in. That's Wade. I'm sorry. Wade Finnegan saying, "Is Melissa in a garage?" No, I'm not. I'm on the screened-in porch at the little beach house that we rent down here in Folly Beach. If you don't know Folly Beach, it's a very kind of eclectic, kind of hippie, laid-back little beach community with a pier, fishing pier. Um, and a few years ago, some big developers put in like a huge hotel and some condo type stuff, and the locals went, "Whoa, no way," because it was
Really?
losing its flavor. Because I'm in a house right now we rent from friends of ours that my friend actually, grew up in, and I think this house was built in like the 1920s.
Oh, cool.
Much more the Folly Beach laid back feel, whereas these big, huge commercialized hotel things are just not the town's flavor. So they quickly put in some rules and ordinances that no more of those come in. So when you first come down to Folly Beach, you'll see the big hotel at the end, but the rest of it is just mostly little houses. We've got this big house in front of us that somebody built not too long ago, but it's a sweet little beach community. So no, I'm not in a garage. I'm on the front porch of the beach house.
That sounds like a great place. That sounds like my kind of place. I
Oh,
love
it's
like
awesome.
laid back vacation spots like that. Very cool.
Yeah, this is not, like I go to Rehoboth Beach, so this is not Rehoboth Beach. This is not jammed to the gills with people. Although today was pretty busy as far as Folly Beach goes. I guess because it's Father's Day and a beautiful weekend.
Hmm.
But definitely laid back, little beachy community. It has like the little huts. My funny thing is like you can go to the huts and get like your, the juice joint. Get your juice all made up
Oh,
fresh, and
nice.
then they have the Tokyo crepes, which is another one of these little huts that somebody like. It looks like somebody like drug it in. It's like some gypsy thing they set up, on the side of the road, but they're here all the time. It's very cool. And Burt's Market, which has been here forever, which is open 24 hours. We may doze, but we never close, is their motto.
Oh, nice motto. Nice motto.
And you get everything there.
Oh, cool. I got to check it out sometime.
It's
I
awesome.
thank you for joining us on your vacation. I'm going to be doing the same thing next week while I'm away from
Yay!
Folly Beach.
Cool.
But yeah, I want to bring up one of these comments here. This is from our good friend Patrick Stemp. And he says, "Evening all. I like Al Bundy and Darth Vader, the non-douche original, of course."
Was he
I'm
talking about
assuming
Al
he's
Bundy or
talking about
Darth
the.
Vader?
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say that the non-douche original Al Bundy. No, I think he's referring to Darth Vader.
Okay.
Yeah,
So when we
and
say original, we're talking about the movies that came out in the 70s and 80s.
I don't know. I don't know if he's talking about that or if he's talking about before he became Darth Vader.
Because he wasn't a good father in the prequels.
Yeah, but you know what? I think the man gets a bad rap as being a bad father. Really, because you know
Why
what?
is that? Tell me.
Because his kids were taken away from him. They were hidden from him on like far distant lands. He didn't really have a chance to be a father, now did he?
Well,
Did he?
no, but he practically killed their mother, so,
Well, yeah, there is that. There is that. And that boy, that's another thing that did. You want to hear something that upsets Buddy? The way that she died. The way that
oh.
that was horrible. It's like she gave birth, right?
Uh-huh.
And then she dies, and the doctors say she was physically fine. She died of a broken heart.
Oh.
Really now? She was like in her early mid-20s at the oldest, and she
Yes.
died of a broken heart. I mean, I love you, George Lucas, but
I know. I didn't buy that either, because no mother would let herself do that. Nothing physically wrong with her. She'd stick around for her kids. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
that's the truth.
yeah, that
No
was kind
matter
of like
no matter how screwed up their father got.
right, right. And boy, that's a whole other show. Like, we could do something all on Star Wars some night.
Oh yeah. Oh, we could do a whole show. We could do several shows on Star Wars.
We
But
could,
back
we
to
could.
back to Darth Vader as a father, and
Yes.
I think the moment, like when he tells Luke, I'm your father. I can't do Angel
That's
Joe's
pretty
voice.
good.
Why did he bother telling him that? What was the purpose of that?
Well, I think he missed out on getting Father's Day gifts, and he really wanted to like start getting in on that action. I think that's it. I think he was feeling a little alone.
Were you the
And you
one
know
who
what?
posted?
I think too, he was. I like Luke Skywalker, but
Mhm.
Luke could be a little wimpy, and I think he wanted to bring him over to the dark side, toughen him up a little bit.
Well, he cut his hand off. That certainly was something that could tough you up.
Yeah, I know. Boy, I never want that to happen again. Yeah, that kind of thing can really mess up your day.
Now, when you really talk with the Star Trek geeks and those of us who are really into Star Trek, we talk about that moment when he tells him he's his father, as a turning point in the
Oh yeah,
whole trilogy and the whole saga. It's like, what was his intention? What was he trying to do by telling Luke that he was his father? Is like to mess him up in the head, or was that him reaching out to him?
yeah,
He wanted him to know that he was his father.
yeah. Good,
Because
good questions.
because we know in the end, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen Return of the Jedi, but in the end, he does choose his son, his children, over the Emperor.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
that
so
was
so there's the whole theory that by revealing that he's his father to Luke, he was also revealing that there was hope.
yeah, yeah. He still had that. He still had Anakin Skywalker inside of him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm really looking forward to the next movie.
Are you?
Yes, yes, very
Okay.
much so. December 17th, 2015. I
Is that when it comes out? I don't even
Yep,
have that. I need to write it down.
yeah.
So
So
that's one of
yeah,
the most exciting fathers in fiction in this space opera.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I loved exploring the whole character of Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, great, great character. And I like the prequels get slammed a lot, but I think the prequels were a lot better than a lot of people give them credit for. People slam those. I know because they don't compare to the original first three
Hmm.
movies. Because they're the first ones we all saw, and they're the ones we fell in love with. And yes, the other ones weren't quite as fun as those first three, but still good movies. And especially that last one where he actually becomes Darth Vader. That was really good.
Well, the last scene of the last movie has got to be my favorite, where everything's being clicked into place,
Hmm.
to set up for um, what we saw as
Right.
kids. It's
Yeah,
like,
New
oh
Hope.
my God, there it all is. That's where for us, it all began. It was the
Right,
end of
exactly.
that saga, but that's where it began for us.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Yeah, and so I don't know if he would be considered a great father, but along the same lines of Star Wars, you have Star Trek, and
Hmm.
James T. Kirk. He was a father for a little while in those.
Hmm.
In Star Trek 2, we found out that he was a father. His son David helped form the Genesis Project, and
Yeah.
even though they weren't together long because of what happens to David in Star Trek 3,
Mm.
spoiler, but you could tell he was still a good father.
Yes.
Yeah. And speaking of other good fathers, Lisa had mentioned one of her favorite movies from the past, and that was Father of the Bride, starring the Steve Martin version, and he
Yep.
played George Banks in that.
Hmm.
He was great as George Banks in that movie, and also in the
Yes.
sequel. Father of the Bride 2 was actually a really good sequel. It was a rare
Right.
sequel that was definitely worth watching. Maybe not as good as the first one, but it was still very, very good.
Well, it's definitely a funny, heartful take on what it means to be a father, letting go and also being the one, expected to pay for all that crap. And but I really do love Steve Martin's his love of the family movie. And that brings me to a movie that when you think of fathers, Parenthood.
Yeah, there you go. I thought you might mention that because I think we might have mentioned. I remember you saying before that you really liked that movie.
I love that movie. I've seen it a dozen times, and no matter how many times I've seen it, it's just one of those movies I can't. I just have to. I sit and watch from beginning to end. I'm not like doing anything else. I'm totally enthralled with it because it really does touch on all these different manifestations of parenthood and of course fatherhood. And Steve Martin, is trying to be like the perfect dad.
Hmm.
Just do everything right by his kids, and his wife is home with the kids, and he's trying to work to make a living, and yet he's has that whole struggle between proving that he's a team player at the office, but trying to be there for his kid, and his son having troubles, and he feels like a failure as a father because his son's having issues, and just exploring that whole, and of course with Steve Martin's talents,
Hmm.
throwing the humor in there to lighten it up because it is intense. And then
It
his
is.
relationship with his father and the ways that he thought his father fell short. I'll
Mhm.
never forget the scene when they're at the baseball game and his dad comes to talk to him and ask him for his advice
Oh, right, right, right.
because his other son is just a mess,
Hmm.
and he's
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what the other son's issues were
well,
right
he
now,
was a
but
gambler.
oh, right,
And
right.
he was always, supposedly coming up with some scheme, and he had gambled away all this money, and he finally comes clean to his dad that they're after him, they're going to hurt him, they're going to break
Hmm.
his legs. After he tries to take his dad's car and sell it, his
Oh,
antique
right,
car.
right.
Remember that scene?
Yeah. That was
And
a
it
good
makes
movie.
it is a really good movie, and particularly Steve Martin's portrayal as a father, I think struck home to me because when you think about, when I think about my children and what I'm doing and what I hope I'm doing to help them get ahead in life so they can start out with both feet firmly planted on the ground and yet knowing the sky's the limit, teaching that balance. And then for something to come up like, if your kid's grades slip, is that your fault? And have you done something wrong as a parent? I mean, I just love that whole exploration.
Yeah. Now, how about the TV show of that? Have you ever given that a chance of
I
Parenthood?
have not. I have not. That's all I have to say on that because I haven't. Not because I
Yeah, I
thought
haven't
it was
either.
bad or anything, but it's like how many years ago did the show Supernatural start? And several people said to me, "Oh, including my husband." He was like, "This is right up your alley. You need to be watching this." And I just kind of, you
Yeah,
know.
and it's another show that I'm
And
sure
now
if I
I'm
watched
watching.
it, I
I
would
binge
enjoy it.
watch it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we talked about that during the binge watching show.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Steve Martin's done quite a few family friendly movies. There was the what was the Cheaper by the Dozen movies too, which I have not seen.
Yeah,
But he's a good dad in movies, and I believe there was like wasn't Bringing Down the House something about him and Queen Latifah had a bunch of kids together or something.
I haven't seen that movie, but I know
I'm
he's done
just
a
joking.
lot of
I know
family. Okay, look, you got me because I haven't seen it and I would have never known.
I know Queen Latifah was in it.
Okay, you got me. I'm
Yeah.
like right over my head, buddy. Oh,
Patrick Stemp says here, I was talking awesome Darth versus prequel
but
whiny
whiny
Anakin.
Anakin. Oh, and I do
Okay.
think Anakin's whiny.
Yeah. I blame Obi-Wan for not bitch slapping him at the first sign of trouble.
I agree. I think Anakin was a weak father, but he was a weak person to start out with, or he wouldn't have been seduced to the dark side.
True, true. The dark side kind of gets a bum rap sometimes too, but that's another show. Oh, speaking of Patrick Stump, quick shout out for him. He's got a new show that started this past week. Check it out this
Yay, that's
Tuesday.
right.
It's TBR, To Be Read. He's hosting that with writers Archer Caldwell and Michael Laron. And look for
Awesome.
them on Google Plus or look for them on YouTube. To Be Read started last week, and it's going to be a cool new show. So
Oh
check
my
that
God, I got so many things to watch. I'm
out.
gonna
I
need
know.
like a second lifetime just to watch all the shows.
The Walking Rob has checked in. He said, "I was just reading The Alchemist," and he was stopping. He
Awesome book.
stopped to watch Sunday Night Fiction Club. Yeah, that is an awesome book. My brother just started reading that for the first time. My brother's not much
I
of a reader, but he picked that up and he's really enjoying it right now.
did I say that last show? It's like I used to have like 10 copies of it and I would hand it out to people because I just thought it was such an amazing book.
That's so funny you say that because that's actually what Lisa was just saying. I think someone
Hmm.
gave her a copy, and then she's done the same thing. She's the one that gave it to my brother John. That's how I ended up reading the copy that I now own.
Somebody
People
gave
seem
it
to
to you.
really love that book, and they just pass it on to people.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's a modern day fable. It really is, and it's a parable, a modern day parable. And I love what he read. Paul Coelho put at the beginning: the universe conspires to help an adventurer. Um,
Yes.
and that's really how I look at my life. And when I met my husband, he was the one who gave me The Alchemist to read.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, that's fantastic. I was just sorry looking at the comments here, but wanted to bring up something else Lisa had mentioned. This is more of a modern day father, and this one it's he's from a cool show. Michael Bluth from Arrested Development. Are you an Arrested Development fan, Melissa?
I am not, only because It's another show that I don't have time to watch. It's like I need to watch these shows. So go ahead, Arrested Development.
Arrested Development. Michael Bluth is played on there by Jason Bateman, and it's just this. The Bluths are just one crazy, messed up family, and it seems at the beginning that Michael was like the only sane one in the family,
Mm-hmm.
and his son is George Michael Bluth, who's played by Michael Cera before he went on to Superbad and all the movies that he's done since then. But I say that Michael's a sane one, but really, you see as the show progresses, Michael's got his issues too. He's not the most sane person in the world, but he's a good father. He tries the best for his son, George Michael, and he's also a good son and a good brother because he's like the person that really tries to keep the family together, even when he doesn't want to. Even when they all are driving him like batshit crazy, he still like tries to get it together and keep his family on the right path. That's a funny show. I just got into it last year. It's on Netflix. If anyone wants to check it out, if you've never seen it, very funny, very clever show. Very good.
Cool. I have to make time to get these at least watch an episode and see what I think.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of great inside jokes in there too. That like Ron Howard narrates the show, who was also the director of Parenthood. I think it all comes back to Ron Howard. And yeah, and there's some like he makes like a Happy Days reference in his narration at one point. There's a couple Happy Days references throughout the show. Lot of cool stuff on there. Definitely worth checking out. Another one that Lisa mentioned, who is not necessarily a father, but a father figure for this one family, was Mr. Belvedere.
Oh,
remember that
that's
show?
right. I totally remember that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He played the father. He had the father figure thing going
Yeah.
on in that show.
Yeah, even though the father was on there, the father was played by Bob Uecker, the famous baseball player who did a bunch of like beer commercials and stuff like that. He gave the kids a lot of things that the father didn't, not because he was a bad father, but he was definitely a great father figure for these kids, which was awesome. And you got other shows like that too, where maybe someone wasn't necessarily like the father, but they were a good influence for like the kids or for a whole family. Who comes to my mind is Mr. Rogers. Now, Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, he was a father in real life. I remember his kids might have even popped into the show one or two times. But for a lot of us little kids, if he wasn't like a father figure, he was at least like our favorite uncle.
Right.
Figure. You watched him and you learned from him, and he talked. Oh, he was always so happy about everything that he was doing. The man, he wore great sweaters, not quite as great as Cliff Huxtable, but he would always put on a sweater and his sneakers at the beginning of the show.
He'd come in and take his jacket off and his nice shiny shoes, and he'd put on his comfy, hang around the house sweater and his sneakers, and he had that male role model, calm, father type thing going on.
Exactly. I remember for here, and you probably watched it the same channels I did. It was like Channel 12 out of Philadelphia, I think.
Yes, it was absolutely.
Yeah, it was on right after Sesame Street every morning.
Every morning. And then there was an afternoon showing, too.
Yeah, oh, you're right, yeah. And, man, I was upset when Mr. Rogers died. I felt like I had really lost a friend there. Because, he was our friend, wasn't he? Yep, Fred Rogers was our friend.
My neighbor. Started singing all these songs.
Speaking of songs...
yes.
Hey, how's that for a segue? Speaking of songs, I think you have some father-related songs.
I do, and I will post these in the comments when I get a chance. I'm just having some trouble with the Wi-Fi here, but I put together a list, as I like to do, and I called it the Papa Don't Preach list. So can you guess what the first song in my Father's Day songs list is?
Borderline by Madonna.
It's on the same album.
Oh, okay. Papa Don't Preach.
Papa Don't Preach.
Oh, okay.
If you don't remember that song, that was from the 80s, and I think it's, she's talking about teenage pregnancy is what she's singing about in that song.
Right. And that's a great song, and I gotta say too, that is I think one of the best music videos from that era too.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic music video where Danny Aiello, a famous character actor, played her father in the music video, and you could tell they had like the very strained relationship, like the lyrics indicate. But there was that great love in there too. That's a great choice there, Melissa.
Yeah. Well, that's the first song that came to mind because I am an '80s girl. As Wade is an 80s guy, and these are things that I grew up with and, came of age kind of thing. Speaking of, Bruce Springsteen was very popular in the 80s. He's still a very popular singer, but he has probably a lesser-known song called My Father's House.
Oh, I don't know that.
It's one of those real kind of soft ballad-type songs. But definitely check. I will be posting a link to my playlist. But definitely check that one out. Bruce Springsteen is an old favorite of mine. I'm coming back around to listening to him again. And speaking of ballads, there's another one, My Father's Eyes. Do you remember who sang that one?
Eric Clapton.
Yes.
Yes, good song.
So,
I used to like make fun of that, but I'll get to that in a second. But
and why did you make fun of it?
well, I would change the lyrics, and I would make it kind of a comedy song where he was calling it "My Father's Thighs," like where for some reason he was like sickly obsessed with like looking at his father in shorts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, man.
I was gonna send it to like Weird Al Yankovic. I had like lyrics written for it and everything. Did I ruin another song for you?
You have this habit of ruining these songs.
But it's a great song.
Okay, another song that not everybody here may know about, but is one of my favorite groups. The Civil Wars has a song called My Father's Father.
Oh, okay. I've always heard about the Civil Wars, but I really don't know their stuff.
This is off their Barton Hollow album. I love all their music. I really do love the Civil Wars. Liz Schulte actually turned me on.
Oh, yeah, I remember Liz talking about them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But My Father's Father is a great ballad. Definitely check that out. I love the Civil Wars period, but that's a great song. And then, of course, the song Buddy Loves to Hate is who cannot think of a father song and not think of Harry Chapin's
Oh, yeah.
Cats in the Cradle. Say it like that. Oh, yeah. Cats in the Cradle, The Silver Spoon.
Little Boy Blue and the Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that has to be in a Father's Day playlist.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Here's one that I don't know a lot of people remember or think about. I don't think it was one of the big hits, at least not to my knowledge, and you can set me straight, is Queen's song, Father to Son.
Oh, I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's one of those odd ones that I don't think we all think about. You know, we think Queen, there's a lot of songs that come to mind, but Father to Son is not one of those. Let's see, I've got John Mayer. He has a song called Daughters.
Oh, I thought about that one, yeah.
And I don't know the background. Some of these songs, there's actually some background to it. Like, I put on here Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder, because that's about his daughter. Is it Aisha?
I don't know.
Anyways, if you listen to the song in the beginning, if you play the album version, you hear a baby crying and laughing and all that or whatever. And I didn't know this when I was young, but Isn't She Lovely was written about his daughter.
Yeah, I just found that out a couple years ago myself. It's interesting how you can learn that stuff like years and years after the song is popular.
Yep. Beyonce has a song called Daddy. Not one of my favorite songs, but it's a decent song. Check it out. Luther Vandross has a song, or had a song called Dance with My Father.
Yeah, I saw several people post that song today for Father's Day on different, online venues.
Now here's one you probably didn't even know. Will Smith took the song Just the Two of Us.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And turned that into a song about him and his son. So,
right, yeah.
I thought that was a good one to put in.
Yeah, and in the Austin Powers movie, Dr. Evil turned that into a song about him and Mini-Me.
Mini-Me?
Yeah, it was just the two of them. They were doing it together.
Well, there's a father figure, right?
Yeah. Dr. Evil was Scott Evil. They had a really
Oh my God, that's great. Oh my God, there is a father-son relationship from hell.
Looking at the comments, Wade Finnegan chimed in and said that Parenthood is a great show. So maybe that can be one later. Melissa, when you get time.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Wade said it. All right, Wade. I got to check it out. But there's so many of those shows.
Oh, yeah. There's so many great shows. And do you have any other songs on your list?
I do. I will throw these out there. I have Papa Don't Take No Mess. Can you guess who that's by?
Papa Don't Take No Meth?
Papa Don't Take No Mess.
Oh, when you said meth, I thought it was from maybe the Breaking Bad soundtrack.
No, it's James Brown. Papa Don't Take No Mess. So,
okay.
Of course, when I post this, you can all Check it out.
Yeah. He
I
does.
sent
He also has a brand new bag.
You're funny.
Thank you.
There's also Like Father, Like Son, uh, Busta Rhymes, the game, and that's a rap one. And I know you don't care for rap, but and I almost forgot. The Temptations.
Okay.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and of
I
course
didn't know that was the Temptations. Wow. Okay.
and there's so many songs out there about fathers or fathers singing about daughters and
Yeah.
sons and that kind of thing, and country music is inundated with it. So
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
really include any country really in this, although I thought of it. Although I had to laugh when I saw the Miley Cyrus and what's her father's name,
Billy Ray.
Billy Ray Cyrus, do a song together, and I'm like, dude, if anybody have some father issues, it's Billy Ray and Miley.
Yeah, I don't really follow them too much, but yeah, I can't say much about those Cyrus
Yeah,
people.
I don't think
I did like her Wrecking Ball video. I'll give her that.
you like that one.
Yeah.
Just because, didn't you?
It was actually a good
For the
song. I was
typical
surprised that it
guy
was a.
reasons, yeah.
Meow, meow, meow.
Well, I remember her from her Hannah Montana days because my daughter used to watch the show. And so my 12-year-old daughter, from the time, like whenever Miley did Hannah Montana, my daughter must have been like 7 or 8 when that was on. My daughter's got to witness this transition. And I'm like, do you realize this is not how things go, right? That this is showbiz and this is weird, right? Okay. Yeah, it's a very teachable moment with my daughter.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think you're having a couple mic issues possibly
Am
there.
I?
Yeah, your voice sounds a little distant, and there's a scratching noise there. So I hope we don't lose you in a
Maybe
sec.
you're hearing the waves crashing.
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Um, another
Oh,
song.
go
Um,
ahead.
Father Figure by George Michael. Okay, not exactly a father, and maybe I should have brought it up because you think about it, it's really kind of creepy.
Well, I'm gonna add it because it doesn't matter if it's like, the perfect father or it's just the whole idea of fathers. It's like um you've never read Pride and Prejudice, right?
No, but I've seen one of the movies.
Mr. Bennett isn't exactly. I mean, he's not a bad father, but he's kind of a wishy-washy father, and there are things that you could definitely question about him as a father.
Hmm.
He's not a bad father, but he's like not a strong father, is how I would say, because he seems wishy-washy when it comes to Elizabeth and her love off again, on again thing with Mr. Darcy. And again, you haven't read the book, so you don't know what I'm
No,
talking
but
about.
I saw the movie though, so I kind of sort
Okay.
of remember.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, his financial planning sucked. I
Yeah,
mean,
he sounds much like Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Not the best father in the world, a little wishy-washy, not the best with finances, but still, he's
who
got
knows?
his
Maybe
good
they
points.
modeled.
He is a Family Guy.
Maybe they modeled it. Hey, speaking of music, I think it's about time for album of the week, and I think it's got something to do with Village People.
Yes, Village People. I don't know if any of these guys are actually fathers, but
I was
this
gonna say, why'd you pick Village People?
well because it was in the stack of albums that I go and grab from 5 minutes before every show starts.
Which one are we gonna take? Village People. That'll go with Father's Day.
Yeah, it is their Go West album. It's a nice, colorful cover.
It's very
Look, there's
colorful.
palm trees. Is that anything like Folly Beach? I'm just wondering. Do you have
Actually, it is a little bit. We got
yeah,
people dressed like that walking down the street today, and
you got construction workers and men in leather and dressed like Indians and cowboys and stuff. Oh,
we
that's
got the pipes. The guy, that mustache that grows down. Like if it just hangs down, I forget what
right.
that's called. But the mustache that grows down
Yeah, there's the mustache guy if you can see him.
is called pipes.
Yeah, that was I think his name was Glenn Hughes. He actually passed away quite some time ago, unfortunately.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, but this album, I believe it or not, I haven't listened to it since it came out. But it had the big hit song "In the Navy" on here. Do you remember that? In the
Yes.
Navy, you can sail the seven
I was
seas.
gonna try to sing it, but I'm gonna be really bad at it.
I remember, I forget how old. Well, actually, it came out in '79, so I know how old I was. I'm not going to say though, because no one else needs to know how old I was in '79. But I remember thinking at the time, it's like, wow, being in the Navy would be cool. just from their song, and then I was like watching McHale's Navy a lot. The only other hit on here was the title track "Go West," but people can make fun of that era and make fun of disco and stuff, but the Village People had a lot of fun songs. Of course, they had Macho Man and YMCA,
Oh yeah.
and great cover there.
Cool. Awesome. I haven't listened to the Village People in ages. Now I'm gonna have to get the Village People songs going.
There you go. There you go. Me and the picture of Lisa almost fell down. Don't want to have that happen.
No, don't have that fall down.
Yeah.
That'd be bad.
That would be very ungood. Very ungood. I'm going to talk about another bad father here.
Uh-oh.
And that is Thurston Howe III from Gilligan's Island.
He's a bad father? Where is his kid?
What'd you say?
Where are their kids? I didn't think they had kids.
And that's it right there. That's it right there.
You just had to find a way to bring up Gilligan's Island, didn't you?
Always my partner. Always. Okay, when the show ran, there was never any mention of kids on there, right? Mm-hmm. The house never said anything about kids. Now, years later, when they did the reunion movies, they did, I've mentioned this movie before, the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island, right?
Oh, no.
That was the last reunion movie they did. Now, actor Jim Backus, who played Thurston Howe III, he was actually, unfortunately, quite ill when they made this movie. So he could barely be in it. He just pretty much had to do a cameo. So the creators of the show, who also did this movie, decided to bring in Thurston Howe IV, who was this adult son of the Howes, and he pretty much took over, what Thurston Howe III would have been doing normally. So I say that Thurston Howe III was a bad father because throughout the whole time on the island, he never even mentioned that he had a son.
I was going to say, I never even knew.
I'm of course being silly because, I'm sure that it was never a plan for them to have kids, and it was just kind of lame that they threw in that, character later on. So really, Mr. Howe, I still love you. Probably like my favorite character in there. You know what's really cool, Melissa? My 4-year-old nephew is like super into Gilligan's Island right now. I love that. They show it on there's a channel called MeTV that's sort of like how Nick at Night and TV Land used to be, where they just show old shows.
Right.
And Gilligan's Island's on there every night, and my 4-year-old nephew and also my 10-year-old niece are like super into Gilligan, and they're getting into Happy Days and stuff. And I love that kids are like exposed to these things. But I went over to see him, and I was asking him because I knew about Gilligan, and he's little. And he kind of forgets the character's name, but he calls it the boat show because they always show the boat at the beginning. He goes, "Put on the boat show." And there's that funny guy with the red shirt, and I was wearing a red shirt that day, so we sort of connected. I was like, it was kind of awesome, Let's see what else is on my list here. Oh, I wanted to bring up. I posted this on my Facebook page earlier, and if you're watching the show, we're not friends on Facebook. Please look me up on there. I posted a scene from Field of Dreams. Have you seen Field of Dreams?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. The last scene in there with Kevin Costner's character with his father is a scene that most guys will tell you they will readily admit that scene makes them cry. It's a very, very moving scene.
You've mentioned that before.
I have. It's a great scene. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It's a very emotional scene.
It is, and I love that movie. It's just a great movie. I mean, yes, it's got an emotional scene, that might make you cry, but there's some good drama in it. There's just great acting all around in it. There's a lot of great humor. James Earl Jones is awesome in there. Burt Lancaster had a small role in there as Doc. It was one of his last roles. Just a great movie.
Very cool. It is a great movie. If you see some strange things about to happen, like in a few minutes, I have to move where I can plug my computer in because my battery's dying. I think that's part of what we're having problems with the sound.
Oh, okay. All right.
If I move around, that's why I'm doing it.
Okay. So maybe you had an itch or something like that. Let me see here. What else do I have? I don't have much. Oh, you know what? I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier or not. Wade had mentioned it, but it's one of my favorite TV dads ever, and that's Howard Cunningham from Happy Days.
Oh, how could we talk about fathers in fiction and not talk about him?
One of the ultimate TV dads.
Yes.
Probably my favorite TV dad. Probably tied with Mr. Brady. Actually, he probably surpasses Mr. Brady because he was a little bit more realistic.
He totally surpasses Mr. Brady.
Well, not to sell Mr. Brady short, but yeah, Howard Cunningham was a great TV dad. Much more realistic because, come on, the Brady Bunch, perhaps once or twice it was a little sappy and unrealistic.
Just once or twice. That's all.
Perhaps. But yeah, Howard Cunningham, great TV dad, hard worker. He owned Cunningham Hardware, his hardware store. Remember, there's an episode where he was even going through like a midlife crisis, and where he was going to leave the family, but he knew that his family was actually like the most important thing to him. So of course he stuck around. That's what made him happy. Those were his happy days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love that show. Happy Days is one of my all-time favorite shows. I was looking for a clip to post on Facebook earlier from like the final episode of Happy Days where like Joni married Chachi, because there was a great scene where Mr. Cunningham gave. Did you ever see that episode?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, it was great because
I probably did see it. I'm just not remembering it.
Yeah, but they had just had the wedding of Joni and Chachi, and Mr. Cunningham went to give a toast, and while he was doing it, he wasn't just toasting the people there. He like turned to the camera and he like thanked everyone for being a part of their happy days. It was really it was a great moving moment, and I love that. One of my favorite scenes ever as a final episode of a show. So we got some good stuff there.
Keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. All right, we'll go back to the Brady Bunch then. Okay. Robert Reed as Mike Brady. Great TV dad. He was. People can make fun of the Brady Bunch, but nice, wholesome, fun show. I just saw a clip the other day of most of the surviving members of the Brady Bunch on. What's that annoying show? Wow, we got some really interesting shots of you right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I better keep talking. Okay.
Keep talking.
Okay. It was that annoying show with all the women. Was it not The View, The Talk, the other one?
The annoying show with all the women. Isn't that nice?
Boy, that might have sounded a little sexist. I don't mean it to, but but I don't like that girl who was on Roseanne. I know she's on there, and but anyway, they were all on there. It was like Florence Henderson and all the kids, and that was kind of cool. They were talking about the show, and Robert Reed seemed like a pretty cool guy. He was a very talented actor, and at the time, he really didn't love being on the Brady Bunch. I read about this later on in one of Barry Williams' books. Barry Williams played Greg Brady, of course, on the show. That Robert Reed was always butting heads with the producers and the writers on that show, because he said that he would come out and say the show was unrealistic and badly written, and he would try to throw some higher quality stuff in there. So the man cared about it. Apparently, though, the man, as much as he hated being on the show a lot, he loved those kids for real. He was like a really good father figure for the actors and actresses who played the children on that show. He would take them on trips and everything, and just seemed like a good guy. And I love the Brady Bunch and Mr. Brady. I think Mr. Brady and Mrs. Brady will always be considered, classic television parents. Florence Henderson has said, people come up to her every day and want to give her a hug because they just love her as like this TV mom. And what a great life is that.
It is. It's
Are you
awesome.
a little more settled there now?
I am, but I just saw Wade's comment. He goes, "I thought this was a family show, Melissa." I was just trying to plug the computer in before it died, so I didn't. I'm sorry.
Oh no, this is.
Did I flash you guys or what?
It looked like it. I'm gonna watch it back later. Perhaps in slow motion.
Melissa flashes the audience on Father's Day. Okay.
Happy Father's Day, lads. Enjoy. David Anson says here, let me bring this up. He says, "Hello all, late but never. At least I made the album of the week. Jim Backus made an appearance on the Love Shack video by the V-52s. I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. Learn something new every day."
Yeah, thank you for that little bit of trivia there. I appreciate that. And yeah, there we go. Do you have any other ones that you want to talk about, Melissa?
God, there's so many. Like, actually, Wayne and I were talking as we were walking back from the restaurant tonight. We were saying, remember Father Knows Best?
Yes.
That's a really old one. I found that show particularly boring, but maybe it was just a generational thing. But yet, at the same time, I thoroughly enjoyed Leave It to Beaver and watched it all the time.
Yeah.
So, while these are old 50s styles, classic portrayals, father solves all the problems, everybody defers to dad, even mom kind of shows, you know what I mean?
Right,
Um,
right.
which were, confusing to me as a child, because that certainly wasn't the dynamic in my household. But for some reason, the difference between Father Knows Best and Leave It to Beaver, even though they both had boys, right? There were no daughters in either of them.
No, actually, on Father Knows Best, there was one boy and two daughters. There was
Oh, there were two
Kitty
daughters on
and
that one.
Princess
Okay.
and Bud were on Father Knows Best.
Okay.
I
And
remember
again,
particularly liking that the boy was Bud because you didn't see many buds or buddies on television shows, so I kind of dug that.
something to relate to. Isn't that special?
Yeah, and there was an episode where he got bongos, and then like a week later, I like talked to my parents into getting me bongos.
You did not.
Yeah, yeah, I really did. Now I wasn't around for the original airing of the show because that was on I think in the late 50s and early
No.
60s,
I
but
caught this all on, repeats.
you probably
And
watched it like I did
watched,
on channel 29 out of Philadelphia.
yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
The UHF, remember back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
We were getting things off of rabbit ears and those
Right.
antennas on the roof.
Yeah, we had channel
Well,
17, 29, and 48
yep.
in Philadelphia.
And it was 3, 6, and 10 were the 10 was CBS, 3 was NBC, and 6 was ABC.
Right, channel 12 was PBS, and this is fascinating for people who didn't
I
live in
know. We're like, oh yeah, TV out of Philadelphia. These were the
But you talked about Leave It to Beaver, and that's another one. I don't think I got into that until my late teens. I don't think that was really shown much in this area, but when I did, I loved it. Loved Eddie Haskell.
Oh my God,
Great
Eddie
character.
Haskell was the funniest character because
Oh,
it was
such
like
a little bastard. It was
I was
great.
just gonna say it was the one character on TV that you knew was messed up,
Right,
and,
right. And
and
he's like,
they didn't mind portraying it that way because there was such those shows there was so much focus on the ideal American family, but they dared to show the dark side.
mhm.
That's cool. The kiss butt.
Yeah, and the dad on Leave It to Beaver was great.
Oh yeah.
Ward Cleaver, great TV dad, and he was played by Hugh Beaumont was the
I
actor
was
who
gonna
played him.
say like you who knows all the actors don't know that one.
Okay, it took me 3 seconds. That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too
You're
bad.
slipping, buddy. You're
Yeah,
slipping.
and I remember they did the Still the Beaver reunion movie. I think it was in the 80s, and the
Did they
actor had,
really?
yeah.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I got a lot to tell you that. There was a Still the Beaver reunion movie in the 80s where Beaver was grown up. Beaver was just like had separated from his wife and he had two small kids, so he moved back in with his mom. Except the actor Hugh Beaumont had passed away a year or so prior to that, so he wasn't in that movie. But Wally was like, I think he was just getting married. He was like a late bloomer with that, and that actually became a TV show. That movie was a big hit, and it became a TV show called Still the Beaver, and that ran for a year or so, and then they renamed it the New Leave It to Beaver Show, and I actually watched that from time to time. It was a
When
really
was
good
that
show.
out? I'm really surprised that I don't remember
I think
that.
it was like mid '80s. I want to say like '85ish. And it was
Hmm.
like a made-for-cable show. I think it might have been on like the Family Network or something like that. But that
And
actually ended
that's
up
why I
being a
didn't
good
see it.
show.
Because
Oh, okay.
we didn't have cable. Because we lived so far out in the sticks that they didn't run cable out to where we live.
Hey, one thing you might appreciate this. I was on Google Plus and I saw someone post a video, and they said that one of their favorite Fathers related episodes was The Doctor's Daughter from Doctor Who.
I saw that too. That is a great episode.
Yeah, it was cool because I mean they haven't touched about it so much in like the new version of Doctor Who that came out in 2005, but apparently the Doctor had been a father before. Even
Hmm.
in like the original series that ran, like the very first Doctor, one of his companions was his granddaughter. So the Doctor
That's
has had
right.
children.
Hmm.
Yeah, I actually found one of those. I think they have one of the storylines available on that either Netflix or Amazon
Yeah,
Prime.
they've got some of the original Doctor Who available now, which is pretty cool. Although
Yeah,
my daughter
I'm
tried to
actually
watch
into
it.
that now. I'm watching some of the ones from the '70s with
Yeah, my daughter
John
tried to
Pertwee.
watch it, and she was just like, "What is wrong with this?"
Definitely a different dynamic.
Yeah,
Definitely, and you look at it and it's like some pretty cheesy effects, for that time period. I guess they just,
and that's exactly what she was telling me. She's like, "Look at this. What are they doing here?" And I'm
yeah,
like, "Well, that was the effects. I mean, that was the kitsch
yeah.
of
But I think if you watch a couple episodes of it, you kind of get past that because I was like that. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. But then like two,
hmm
3 episodes in, I'm like, okay, I can see getting addicted to this too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You warm up to it. Oh, I have to bring this up. David Anson mentioned this because this was a book I want to mention before we end the show tonight, and that is To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus
Oh yeah.
Finch, played by Gregory Peck in the movie, was a great father figure for Scout. If you haven't read the book, definitely read the book so you really get some insight into that relationship and the father. Have you seen the movie?
I have not. It's funny. Lisa had mentioned that one too, as Atticus Finch being a great father, and I know it's a classic, both the book and the movie. But I've never been able to bring myself to watch it because I love birds, and I don't want to see any mockingbirds get killed. True.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, I know that
Fun,
probably has nothing to do with that. But so you're saying I should read the book first?
You should. You should. Um, there was one other thing. I mentioned Pride and Prejudice, right?
You did.
Did I mention Huckleberry Finn?
No. Did he even have a
Okay.
father?
Um, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. Yes, because Tom Sawyer's father is a drunk and a ne'er do
Oh,
well,
okay.
and he's never around. And well, when he is around, it's because he wants something. And
Gotcha.
this is kind of like the antithesis, of a good father. And
Hmm.
I just had to bring it up because it's one of those literary father figures um, that I think is almost like a caricature of what a bad father is.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
and Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn and all that is a little bit of a caricature of the time. Maybe not. Maybe not having lived there, I can't really speak to it. But and there was, of course, at the end when Jim basically reveals that he had seen his father die. His father was dead.
Oh, okay. See, it's been so long since I've read those books, and I mean,
Yeah.
I was like a little kid.
Well, when I taught high school, that was part of the curriculum.
Oh, okay.
For those who didn't ban it because of the bad words that were in it.
Yeah, that's that kind of thing bothers me. I mean,
Well, to
I
me,
can see it to a
it's
degree, I guess.
it's almost ignorant because when Mark Twain wrote the books, he used words and terminology from the time period and how it would have been used. So, what are we going to do? Pretend that it never existed? I think that's worse
Yeah.
than addressing that these kinds of words were used and how they were used and why they were used and why we don't use them anymore. I mean, it's a perfect teachable moment. Why would you ban a book? That's pure ignorance in my opinion. But I was, a high school English teacher, and I very much am against censorship of any kind when it comes to literature. Now, should we be teaching our children all kinds of books no matter what? No. But this is a classic and
Hmm.
is a perfect teachable moment. But I digress. It's totally off the subject. But
No, no, it's a good subject though. It's a very good.
yeah, it is.
I'm sorry.
You
Go
just
ahead.
got to be really careful about quote unquote banning books.
Yes.
It's always bad news. Always bad news.
Yeah, I agree. It is. It's just, I mean, yeah, parents, if you don't want your kids reading certain things or seeing certain kinds of movies or TV shows, that's understandable. And you can like
Yeah.
monitor that and, maybe, talk to, well, I don't want to get too preachy here, but you know where I'm
Yeah.
going with that.
Well,
Things shouldn't be banned, but maybe there should be, some caring there and like, maybe
yep.
enjoying the stuff together or learning together about things.
Yes. And speaking of not banning things, like we don't want to ban that sexy photo of you on your tagline. As your darling Lisa says, "Oh, how did I only just now notice you're using your sexy buddy pic on your name line?" Phew, great. Now I'm distracted.
Thank you, Lisa.
I
Thank
had to
you.
bring that up.
Well, thanks, honey. I don't know what to say right now. Wow. Uh, Other than thank you, I love you. I was looking at some of the comments here, and we had mentioned that I believe it was Patrick might have said Al Bundy earlier.
Yes.
But then in the comments, it led into a discussion about how Modern Family is another great show on right now, which stars that same actor, Ed O'Neill, who played Al
Hmm.
Bundy. He's on. Do you ever watch Modern Family?
I have seen a few episodes. Yes, it's hysterical.
Yeah, I don't. I've kind of gotten away from it just because of doing stuff, but it's a good show and really some good fathers on there. His character is great. He's like the tough older character. He's a manly
Hmm.
man type, and he's got the two kids who definitely have their issues. The one son who's a homosexual and he's married to
Right,
another
and don't they have a
homosexual.
daughter?
They
Did
have a
they
daughter, and
adopt
I
a
think they may
daughter?
have a yeah, and Lily, and I think they may have adopted another kid. I'm not sure, but then like there's the Claire is I was gonna say Al Bundy's daughter, but she's the daughter of the main character, and
Mhm.
her husband is fantastic. He is oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. But he's definitely like a kind of a nerdy guy in a lot of ways, but he's a good dad, he's a good husband, and that's a funny show. That's a really good show. I
Yeah,
like
the
that.
few episodes I've seen have been really good. And this is, again, not for lack of wanting to watch the shows. I just don't have time to watch
Yeah,
everything that's out there. It's like part of me, I've kind of given up on TV except late at night, like an hour before I go to bed, and I try to squeeze in something. Um, but there are so many good shows out. It's just hard to make time for all of it.
yeah, and I'll tell you, I really don't watch much on network TV anymore myself, just for the same reasons that you brought up. Every once in a while, I'll sit down and watch Modern Family, or I'll watch Big Bang Theory, because that show is just hilarious, and you can
Right.
miss some episodes here and there, and still be okay.
Well,
But
speaking of Big Bang Theory, that's something I wanted to bring up. Do we ever see, let's see, let's talk about some of the fathers in the Big Bang Theory. Like, I don't know
okay.
that we've ever seen Leonard's father. We hear about him, but I don't know that we've ever seen him on the show. Are
I've
there
missed
more?
a
Will
se-
they
I've
get
missed a
more?
season or so, but yeah, I don't know if we have. I don't know if his
Okay.
father is still alive. And is Sheldon's father still alive?
No, Sheldon's father died when he was like 14 or something.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
so there's an episode where Sheldon, it's a Thanksgiving episode where Sheldon and Bernadette's father bond over beer and football, which is hysterical.
Over
So I
beer and football?
over beer
Really?
and football. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hey, hon. We all hear you yelling. Speaking of fathers,
It's okay.
yell at the kids to turn the TV down.
Reminds me of my dad doing the same thing.
Yep. So some of the father, like I really was thinking about this with the Big Bang Theory. Penny and her father, because they have him in a couple episodes, but there's an episode where Leonard's mother comes and picks her brain because Leonard's mom's a psychologist,
Okay, I think I might have seen that one.
and she picks Penny's brain. Next thing they're going down the steps, and at first, there's the question. It's like, what is your relationship with your father? And then the next scene, you see Penny just bawling her eyes out, and oh, you always wanted me to be the son he never had, and blah blah. But it turns out she does have a brother, but he like is apparently a meth lab guy.
Oh, okay. I remember her dad being on there, played by Keith Carradine. Really good role for him.
You're so good at remembering these actors.
Oh, thank you.
And
And
Bernard,
he was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, no. I was going to go on to the next thing. Finish what you were saying about the actor.
No, I was just gonna. I was gonna. You finish because I was gonna segue into another show and another father. So, what about
Oh,
Bernadette?
Bernadette's dad is like the quintessential manly man dad, and who does she marry but Howard Wolowitz, And those two trying to figure out their relationship is hysterical. I love that whole play on, father-in-law and father. It's awesome.
Right. I was going to. That's one of my favorite shows. Definitely one of the best sitcoms of the past 20 years.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, brilliant. And it very much has a 70s and 80s vibe to it. I think in terms of sitcoms.
Well, and the way it's structured, and
Hmm.
it's a classic sitcom. I think
It
that's why it
is.
appeals to me so much.
Right. It is a classic already. Um, I had mentioned Keith Carradine, who played Penny's father, and that made me think of him in a role that he had on the TV show Dexter. You haven't watched Dexter, have you?
I've seen a few episodes of Dexter. He's
Okay.
the serial killer who kills serial killers.
Yeah, or just killers. Yeah, he
Right.
mixes it up. He likes variety in his killing of killers.
Okay.
Uh, but one of the things now Keith Carradine was only on there for a little while, but I wanted to mention the relationship that Dexter has with his father on there is really interesting. It was his adoptive father because Dexter's parents were well, I can't. Yeah, they're dead. So he was adopted by this cop character, and his ghost will visit Dexter in I think just about every episode, and kind of guide him. And that's a very interesting father-son dynamic there. That's a really great show. Another interesting dad.
Cool.
Yeah. So, looking through the comments, I don't see any. I think we got just about everything here. I want to thank everyone who has watched us live tonight.
Yes, thank you everybody who's watched us live tonight. I just was reading, Wade made another comment. He said, one comment, there needs to be more sitcoms today. And I really do enjoy the half-hour sitcoms. They're great to squeeze in, and I enjoy the pace of them, the jokes. And Big Bang Theory has just got me hooked. And then he says, great point, Melissa. I don't censor either. That was from when we were talking about censorship and Huckleberry Finn and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, awesome, Wade. And yeah, I'd love to see more sitcoms on TV now, and I'd like to see some more. Not to sound like an old fart or anything, but some classier sitcoms. Now I know that like Two and a Half Men has been popular for I guess over 10 years now, but now there's a show that I've never gotten into, and I don't mind crude humor. I don't like. I love the Kevin Smith movies. I used to listen to Howard Stern all the time. I can appreciate crude humor, but in doses on sitcoms, especially like when these things, when they go into syndication, they're running at like 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. every night, where kids are watching stuff. And there's I don't mind sexual innuendos in shows, but sometimes it's just like crude and ridiculous. Just for the point of being crude. And I actually have a problem with some of Adam Sandler's stuff for that too. I love Adam Sandler. There was like the Grown Up. Is that what it's called? Grown Ups?
Yes, Grown Ups was the movie.
But and it had a lot of good stuff in it, but there was a lot of like quote unquote toilet humor in there too. I guess I'm not the fan of toilet humor. I mean, some of it can be funny, but you see a lot of that in a lot of the sitcoms that are around now too. So I would love to see like a throwback to things like a Big Bang Theory, where there might be an occasional sexual innuendo, but try to make things a little bit more family friendly. You can be funny and you can be clever without just going for like a cheap laugh.
Right.
A cheap laughs just bug the hell out of me. I took an improv class once. I took it like in the 90s for a while because I used to do acting. I used to do community theater, and it was kind of educational. It was kind of good, but the guy who ran this thing, he like brought in one of his partners once, and they were saying that when they found that they were doing a show and things weren't going well, they're like, oh, then we just throw in a sex joke. And I'm like, okay, why don't you just get better with your improv? Get a little bit more creative, with your comic abilities. Don't just always rely on cheap stuff. But Buddy's going off on a tangent, and I'm going to stop that now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We do it all the time.
We do. That's part of the fun of Sunday Night Fiction Club.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but we're going to wrap this one up, and we don't know what our topic is.
We're after 11 already.
Oh, yeah, well, we started late, so it's all good in thy hood. Oh, God, I can't believe I said that. I am. We're not sure what our topic is yet for next week. We know on an upcoming show we are going to be talking about Neil Gaiman, and we're going to be talking about Good Omens when we both read that. And I hope how long are you going to be at the beach?
Till Saturday.
Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Yeah. So we see you next week. You're going to be like all tan and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Are you a beach person? Do you like laying on the beach?
I love the beach. I don't want to like lay on the beach all day long, but I like to go down and play in the water, especially here. Oh my God, the water is so warm.
Yeah, awesome.
It's like you can go way out and it's not that deep. I mean, deep enough for the kids to play on the boogie boards and stuff, but it's really beautiful.
Awesome. That's great. And I want to remind our viewers that Melissa's got her new series out, the Little Flame series, that she had just released the fourth book recently.
Yep.
Right?
And I've got the fifth one up on pre-order with Smashwords and iBooks. But it's supposed to be coming out in Barnes & Noble for pre-order, but I haven't seen it yet. It's just taking time.
Okay, well, great, great. I just recently opened a Wattpad account. I've got a few of my flash fiction stories up on there. I
Oh,
might be adding
awesome.
some here and there. Oh, thanks, thanks.
Yeah, I'm out there. I'll have to go follow you.
Oh, cool. Hey, I'll follow you too.
Okay. I'll
All right,
follow you too.
fantastic.
And we'll go in circles.
Yeah. So thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. You watching live and sharing your comments with us. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week, and we'll have another fun show for you then.
And Wade Finnegan says he can't get enough of Sexy Buddy, so come back next week.
Well, we're going to end on that then. Thanks, Wade. All
All
right.
right.
See y'all later. Take care. Bye.